Welcome to my YouTube channel Wise Whispers, where silence speaks.
The plate shattered against the kitchen wall so hard that pieces of white ceramic exploded across the floor like broken ice. For a second I just stood there frozen, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear my daughter screaming. "You ruined everything," she cried. At 64 years old I had lived through factory layoffs, a near-fatal car accident, and the death of my wife. But nothing had ever hurt me like seeing my own daughter look at me with hatred in her eyes. The plate had missed my face by inches, and what I did next changed both our lives forever. My name is Miles Carter, and this is the story of the worst night of my life, and the unexpected miracle that came after it. 3 years earlier my life had already begun falling apart. My wife Alina died after a long battle with cancer. We had been married for 39 years. She wasn't just my wife, she was the glue holding our family together. After the funeral the house became unbearably quiet. I'd wake up in the middle of the night expecting to hear her soft footsteps in the hallway or her humming in the kitchen while making tea. Instead there was only silence. My daughter Vanessa tried to help at first. She visited twice a week with my grandson Oliver. She'd bring groceries, clean the house a little, and sit with me during dinner. But grief changes people. It changed me. And it changed her too. I became withdrawn and stubborn. Vanessa became impatient and overwhelmed. She was a single mother trying to balance work, bills, and raising a 10-year-old boy. I could see the stress eating away at her, but neither of us knew how to talk about pain. Instead, we argued. At first it was small things. "You should eat healthier, Dad." "I'm fine. You can't keep living like this." I said I'm fine. Then the arguments grew sharper. "You haven't even cleaned Mom's room. Don't tell me what to do in my own house." "She's gone, Dad." "Don't say that." Eventually, every conversation turned into a fight. Still, despite everything, I loved my daughter deeply. Vanessa had always been strong-willed. Even as a little girl, she refused to back down from anything. Alina used to laugh and say, "That girl has fire in her soul." After Alina died, that fire became anger, and anger became distance. One rainy evening, Vanessa arrived unexpectedly. The second she walked in, I knew something was wrong. Her makeup was smeared from crying, and Oliver stayed unusually quiet behind her. "What happened?" I asked. She dropped her purse on the table. "I lost my job," chest tight. "What?" "The company cut half the staff." I pulled out a chair for her. "Sit down." But she didn't sit. Instead, she paced around the kitchen anxiously. "Behind on rent already. I don't know what I'm gonna do." "You can stay here for a while," I said immediately. She stopped walking. "You mean that?" "Of course." For the first time in months, her expression softened. "Thanks, Dad." That night I thought maybe things would finally get better between us. I was wrong. Living together reopened every wound we had ignored. Vanessa hated my habits. I hated her criticism. She complained that I watched television too loudly. I complained that she treated the house like a hotel. She accused me of living in the past. I accused her of being disrespectful. Poor Oliver became trapped between us. One night during dinner, Vanessa snapped at me because I gave Oliver ice cream before bedtime. "He needs discipline. He's a kid. You always undermine me. You're too hard on him." The argument exploded. Oliver quietly left the table while Vanessa and I shouted at each other. That was the first time I noticed fear in my grandson's eyes, and I hated myself for it, but pride is a dangerous thing. Instead of apologizing, we continued hurting each other day after day. A month later came the night everything broke apart. Vanessa had spent the entire day applying for jobs without success. Bills piled up on the counter. Oliver needed new school shoes. The electricity payment was overdue. Stress filled the house like poison. That evening I accidentally made things worse. I found Alina's old necklace in a drawer while cleaning the bedroom. It was a beautiful silver pendant Vanessa's mother wore almost every day. I wanted Vanessa to have it. So during dinner I handed her the necklace box. She opened it slowly. For a brief second emotion crossed her face. Then she looked at me coldly. "You kept this hidden." "What? You never gave me Mom's things." "I wasn't ready. She was my mother too. That's not fair." "Nothing about you is fair, Dad." I felt anger rise in my chest. I lost my wife, and I lost my mother. We were both standing now. Years of grief, resentment, loneliness, and exhaustion erupted at once. "You think you're the only person suffering," Vanessa yelled. "You have no idea what I've been through." "Oh please," she shouted. "You sit here feeling sorry for yourself while everyone else cleans up your mess." Something inside me cracked. "I open my home to you, and you remind me every single day." Then suddenly she grabbed the dinner plate and hurled it at me. Time slowed. The plate spun through the air. I ducked instinctively. Crash! It exploded against the wall behind me. Silence. Oliver screamed from the hallway. Vanessa stared at the broken pieces in horror, breathing heavily. And in that moment I saw it clearly. She didn't hate me, she hated her pain. And I realized something even harder. I had been drowning in my own grief so deeply that I never truly saw hers. I could have screamed, could have thrown her out, could have answered anger with anger. Instead, I did something unexpected. I walked past the shattered plate, past the anger, past my pride, and I hugged my daughter. At first, she resisted. Then suddenly she collapsed into my arms, sobbing like a child. "I miss her," she cried. "I miss Mom so much." Filled my own eyes. "I know," I whispered. For the first time since Alina died, we cried together instead of separately, and that changed everything. The next morning felt strangely peaceful, not perfect, but lighter. Vanessa apologized repeatedly for throwing the plate. I apologized for shutting her out emotionally after Alina's death. We talked honestly for hours, really talked about grief, fear, money, loneliness, the pressure she felt as a single mother, the emptiness I felt without my wife. We realized neither of us had been fighting each other. We had been fighting pain. That conversation became the beginning of healing. Over the next few months, small things started changing. We ate dinner together without yelling. I helped Oliver with homework. Vanessa found part-time work at a bookstore. Sometimes we still argued, but now we apologized afterward. One afternoon, Oliver looked at me while we fixed an old bicycle together. "You and Mom smile more now," he said. His words hit me harder than he realized. Children notice everything, and they suffer quietly when families fall apart. That night, I sat alone on the porch thinking about Alina. I imagined her smiling somewhere, proud that we were finally healing. Then came another surprise. One Sunday morning, Vanessa handed me an envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it." Inside was a printed document, a small business proposal. "What is this?" She smiled nervously. "I want to open a little cafe." I blinked in surprise. "You?" "Yes, Mom always dreamed about having one someday," I remembered. Alina used to talk endlessly about owning a cozy cafe with homemade pies and bookshelves by the windows. Vanessa continued quietly. "I thought maybe we could do it together." Emotion tightened my throat. At 64 years old, I thought my meaningful days were over, but suddenly life offered me a new purpose. The next year became the busiest year of my life. We worked endlessly, painted walls ourselves, fixed broken furniture, bought second-hand tables, argued over menu prices, laughed until midnight while testing recipes. Oliver even helped design the cafe sign. We named it Alina's Corner. The cafe wasn't fancy, but it felt warm, alive, full of love. Customers came not just for coffee but for the atmosphere. People said it felt like home, maybe because it truly was built from heartbreak, forgiveness, and second chances. One evening after closing time, Vanessa sat beside me quietly. "You know," she said softly, "I still think about that night." "The plate," she nodded with tears in her eyes. "I'll regret it forever." I shook my head. I said gently, "That night saved us." She looked confused. "If you hadn't broken down, neither would I." For years we had hidden behind anger, but sometimes people must completely fall apart before they can rebuild properly. And that's exactly what happened to us. Today I'm 68 years old. Every morning I unlock the cafe while Vanessa prepares coffee. Oliver, now a teenager, works weekends after school. Sometimes customers ask about the framed photo hanging behind the counter. It's a picture of Alina smiling brightly in our old kitchen. When they ask who she is, I always smile proudly. She's the reason this place exists. Because love doesn't truly disappear. Sometimes it returns in unexpected ways, in forgiveness, in healing, in family. And sometimes in the moment a shattered plate misses your head by inches and forces two broken hearts to finally face the truth. Moral of the story: grief can turn love into anger when pain is left unspoken. Families don't heal by winning arguments, they heal through understanding, forgiveness, and honesty. Sometimes the hardest moment in life becomes the beginning of something beautiful.